Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about my Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro and the little project I just completed on it, which is I added a double battery system. Now, going with dual batteries is it's not a necessity, it's a choice. For me, I was having some issues with the stock battery, even from like the early first couple of years of ownership. It was just struggling to keep charge. Turns out it was a defective battery, which was replaced under warranty. But the second battery, 6 months later, had the same problem and was rated defective. So that's probably coincidence, but it was enough for me to think there's gotta be a more secure way that I don't have to worry about this kind of stuff, especially when you're on an overlanding trip and you wanna actually be able to use stuff like lighting, or maybe you wanna plug in something like, a stereo or whatever, or a heater, or God knows what else. But I wanna be in the position where I don't have to worry about the truck not starting when it's time to go home. So this is the setup I went with, and I just want to talk through the good, the bad, the ugly, and should you do it. And we're going to get into all that right now. So you guys have probably just noticed that I don't have my shell on anymore. And that is because I did end up selling it. And it wasn't because I didn't like the shell anymore or there was some issue. It has everything to do with the fact that I ordered a super specific camper, which I've been waiting for a long time, and it's actually finally done. And this weekend I get to go drive all the way up to Portland from the San Francisco Bay Area to go pick it up. And I'm super excited to tour the facility, check it out, and of course, see my truck a little bit more complete again. So stay tuned for that. All right, so here's the setup. And the kit I ended up going with is actually made by a little outfit called OffGridEngineering. And no, it's great, actually. Their customer support's pretty good, and what I love best is that they actually offer two different kits. This is the side-by-side, which obviously it's called the side-by-side because you get two batteries next to each other, and they fit right here in the same vicinity as your stock battery, which is great. They also have another kit for the Tacoma that actually allows you to keep one battery in the stock location, and the other battery over on the other side in front of the firewall, where unfortunately for me that wasn't going to work because I have my air compressor there. And yes, I could have moved that, moved some wiring and stuff, but I didn't want to mess with that. But the benefit of having the battery on one side and the other is that it distributes the weight better. These things are not light. I mean, each battery is probably like 40 pounds, so having two of them next to each other, plus when you add up the really robust aluminum brackets and the mounting frame underneath this side-by-side kit, I mean, we're talking about roughly 100 pounds right on the corner of the truck. Now, not a big deal, but if you're like rock crawling and you get your truck into situations where you're on its side a little bit and it could, it's sort of like teeter-tottering, having 100 pounds in this corner might not be that advantageous for you in that moment. So I'm always a fan of, no matter what you do, to have a balanced approach. But for me, this was the best solution, and so far so good. I mean, I haven't really gone on any crazy adventures yet, but I do like the fact that it doesn't actually take up more room or required me to relocate anything else. But you do have to, upon installation, you do have to drill some holes underneath where your stock battery was to make a more stiff and rigid platform for their battery guide. So you're gonna have to do that, and then you basically build the kit on top of it, and it'll hold the batteries nice and tight in place. So far It's been great. So I'm happy about that. And also this kit does accommodate for 2 Group 35 AGM batteries. Again, AGM is the way you want to go because these hold more capacity and will last longer, especially if you're off the grid. No pun intended. So as part of the kit, you also do get a switch that gives you some abilities that you get to operate the system by, but you got to mount it somewhere in the truck. And so let me show you where I put mine. So right here, I think you can see it, that red switch. That's the switch for the batteries, and it allows you to do basically one of 3 things. One, you can keep it in off mode, which basically just separates the batteries, kind of like you have a stock truck all of a sudden. You're just basically using one battery. Or 2, you can go into on mode, which links them. And then last but not least, you can use auto. And auto is great because then what that does is it actually leverages the brain of the solenoid to determine how to charge the batteries based on which one's lowest. And so kind of a nice feature. All right, guys, well, that pretty much covers the double battery setup that I've got in my truck. Definitely excited to share with you how well it works out in the field once I get more experience with it. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them down below and I'll be more than happy to share those answers with you. And check out OffGridEngineering. They're a great little outfit and they're American-based. And I always like to support US-based companies whenever I can. So with all that, guys, being said, I will catch you guys on the next one.